Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keith, and sometimes things don't turn out the way you think they should. For example, going into tonight's game, the Ottawa REDBLACKS against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, you would think that the REDBLACKS would be able to get back on the winning streak. I mean, after all, they were the first place team in the East, taking on the last place team not only in the West, but in the CFL. The only problem is the Saskatchewan Roughriders don't pay attention to records, and it seems like the Ottawa REDBLACKS do. I say that because the team that played the BC Lions last week, that Ottawa REDBLACKS team, was nowhere to be found for most of this game. Their offense was lethargic, they were getting walked over, whereas Saskatchewan came in on a hot streak and played very well. Now, Ottawa should have been ready for Saskatchewan because their first win of the season came against the REDBLACKS a few months ago. But apparently Ottawa was probably looking past this game, thinking about the two home and away series that they have coming up with Hamilton and Winnipeg, and it showed. Now, I will be the first person to say that I've got this kind of dislike with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, in the sense of I find a lot of their fans really annoying, but at the same token, I really like their fans, and the reason being is their fans travel. Tonight, meeting people who were in for the game from Saskatoon and Regina. I think that's fantastic, and I think the league needs more of that. Seeing people who are so passionate about their team, they won't just go to the next province, they'll go coast to coast to see them play. And what they got treated to here in Ottawa was a very entertaining game. Now, this was a game that looked like it was going to be a cakewalk for Saskatchewan in the beginning. And I will give Saskatchewan their due. They came to play, and play they did. Their defense looked great, coming up with some pretty big plays. And how great was it seeing Darian Durant, a guy who's been plagued with injuries over the last few years, who has settled back nicely in his role as quarterback. But then on the flip side of things, you've got the REDBLACKS. Trevor Harris was not the same Trevor Harris from last week in BC, as he was sputtering with the offense. And on top of that, the defense didn't look like they improved at all from last week, giving up big play after big play. And don't get me started on that last drive where Saskatchewan pretty much started on their 10 and drove all the way down to the end zone. But thankfully, there is a guy who knows a thing or two about winning who Ottawa had on the sidelines by the name of Henry Burris. And when Henry Burris took the field, it was like we were looking at this whole new and improved Henry Burris. It was hard to remember that this is a guy who's over 40 years old, isn't it? The reigning, defending, most outstanding player took the ball and took the team on his shoulders and carried them as close as he possibly could to victory. Unfortunately, in overtime, Saskatchewan was able to eke out a victory. Now, a lot of people were talking as we were leaving the stadium about Chris Milo and the fact that he missed a very short field goal. I have said this before and I will say it again. A game is not won or lost by one player. And you can't put all of that on Milo. It sucks, and I'll be the first person to admit, as a kicker, this is a kick that he needs to make, but you have to look at the entire team because there's a lot of things that need to be improved on. The defense, again, did not look great. For the second week in a row, they did not look great. They didn't give up 40 points this week, but at the end of the day, they're taking the loss. Ottawa has some very crucial games coming up against Hamilton and against Winnipeg, respectively, home and home. And there are a lot of stats that we can talk about. There are a lot of stats we can go back and forth on. But the most important stat that you need to know is 0. 0. That is the amount of games that Trevor Harris has won against teams with winning records. 0. Don't get me wrong. Getting to the playoffs, you can get to the playoffs by beating the Montreals and the Torontos of the CFL. But once you get to the playoffs, if you can't beat the Winnipegs or the Calgarys or the Edmontons, you're not going to go very far. And if you're looking for the guy who can do that, his name is Henry Burris. And with all due respect to Trevor Harris, who very well may be the future of this team, it's not right now. Right now, the ball needs to be put back with Henry Burris, a guy who knows how to win. I don't understand why he was benched these last few games, but the Trevor Harris experiment isn't working. And if Ottawa wants to start winning against these crucial teams in this crucial part of the league, Henry Burris needs to be taking the snaps. The atmosphere at TD Place was great. It was great seeing so many people. Of course, I bumped into a couple of members of the REDBLACKS cheer and dance team, and look, I got myself another calendar. I don't know what they're going to be doing with their lives, but if they want to go into sales, they're going to crush it. Anyways, big up to them and all of the awesome stuff that they do to support the Red Blacks. This is a very exciting time, folks. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Let me know what you thought about tonight's game. I'd love to hear from you. CFL_fan on Twitter, Facebook.com/WittyWhittier, WittyWhittier.com. Thanks so much for checking this out. Make sure you support the Red Blacks by going to the games. Make sure you support the Red Blacks cheer team by buying their calendars. And until next time, that's my view from the 40.